It's about time we the Liberian people, we need to put our feet down. We should not sit here and let these people destroy our country. You understand? This is not about CDC. It's about Liberia. Because you can clearly see they may fire somebody for buying $100,000 car, but he's spending $500,000 or maybe $1 million on a bunch of cars. You understand? It's just pure deceitfulness. They're not
Thank you.
truthful. How can they even fight corruption? You
Thank you
understand?
so very
Thank you,
kindly.
brother Prince.
Thank you so very kindly. Let's move on here to our sister, Madam Fita. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. You already know what is happening. You are one person who your phone keeps going off. You know, so family or friend or what have you. But in a country where things
Man, I don't
are
think that's
very
it.
difficult,
I'll
this
phone
is where
play
we
for
have you.
you. I'll phone
Let's hear
play
from you.
for you. I tell you.
Prince, you see me laughing? It like you knew what happened today. I had a brother that in it. Let's say he's a police officer, special security to Joseph Water. That just called me early this morning when I was at work. Sister, I said, what again? Junior, he said, sister, they put on one pay of our project for $1 billion car. I said, yeah, and then y'all watch it, that y'all go. When you finish enjoying yourself, then like you eat your food. Like you eating and you had the meat, you eat the meat, you enjoy the meat, then you say the boom and give it the door. That what Joseph had doing to you. You people are securing him, like breaking your neck, waking early in the morning to go to, he doesn't even care whether you got transportation to go to work. He doesn't even care your children are in school, your wives are happy at home. He doesn't care. All the man wants to do is to live his last better life until he can go. So it like you really dream about it because it like and this 5 a.m. this morning my brother called me and said we are dying, hunger, children not going to school. But just like I just you know brought a million dollar car. I said the man getting brought up for what? Who wants him? Who want to do something to him? Who even gonna waste that energy chasing after Joseph Walker, who is already waiting for Jesus Christ to take you to heaven, whether to hell or not, because he got a judgment. Prince Justin is already there, judging yourself. Joseph Walker will be the next person to join him, and then we don't even know whether he going to heaven or hell. Who gets time for him? Who's going to spoil that repetition here for him to say they come and kill him? This is sad, my dear brothers. It's very sad. What you said area about the student in Sanoa, so I can say Kipamo area there. I have a friend that lives there too.
Yeah. River
Said the same
G.
thing. River G, yes. I
Yeah.
had a friend that lives there, Mr. Talley. He's one of the NGO drivers. He said, Tracy, you can talk about it. I said, what we'll do, people, we're just talking because we want like bring for the years, but we can do nothing to these people. We can do nothing to the children. They're walking, some of them heels in the bad weather, good weather. The people, children are suffering. No seat, no food. Look at America. When our children go to school, we don't even worry about recess. But Liberian children, they can even barely have a day when they go to school. Some of them, they're from very background and a poor background. When they go to school, they stay hungry all day because they don't have it. Imagine my brother got good 7 children in school. Seven. Please already know what I'm going through here. And Louis said, no, when I came to Liberia, went to my house there. The family sent me here. What I play around here, call me, is good for the Liberian. We only talking because we feel the talk, we feel that having our shows and stuff. But this is the real soup for Liberian. Their government is the real pepper soup for Liberia. The next time when they see the right, they will run there instead of taking it wrong. Liberia does not know what's good for them. Oh, John John Weah is not a politician. He was not created, he was not born to be politician. He's a football player. That is star. But I man tried his best to give it to Liberia. He brought it, he delivered it. He made the Liberian to love him, and he loved them back. Can you imagine going this going on Christmas? That man was walking on the street. Babies holding his hand, giving them food. He got, oh my God, my brothers. We asked for it. We asked for it, Liberia. We just need to keep talking and pray and keep giving back to our people, because when we say Joseph Walker will give to them or he will change the country, we are wasting our time. These people are only focusing on their pocket of their selfishness. These people are very selfish. The country is full. Sunny when water, when I went over there, that place is stinking, smelling. They don't care to fix the places there, but they are focusing on their stuff. So the Liberians that voted, that cried, that were in the ring, in that sun for you guys, what are they benefiting? When people like Rachel Kuhn receiving $9 million, eh? You are paying people to just remove political money, and I'm pretty much sure these guys are still in the hotel enjoying life. Why people children are suffering? Look at it, look coming to them in Morovia there. I I just opened my almost opened my guest house, and I sent the boys there to work, no furniture place for them to fix me chairs for my living room, the rooms, bed and thing. If I tell you how much these people charging for bed, just for bedroom set, Prince, you won't believe it. The dresser, bed, everything, $500. The guy was backing me that the 3 bedroom he will furnish it. And I'm against nothing because they can't even buy for them. That man said his children being out of school because they can't even get customers. People in the country are weeping, they're crying, they're begging. When President is enjoying himself, after he told the people that he was coming to rescue, what is the meaning of rescue? You see, they
Thank
call
you.
themselves educated people. But what is the meaning? What is the definition to that? Rescue. Are you rescuing or are you killing?
Thank you. Thank you
I'm
so
going to
much,
stop right
my
there.
sister. Thank you so much. Let's get to our brother James. My brother James, thank you so much for the video that you sent. That really add value to it. And before you speak, I just want for Liberians to listen here to this. This is Mr. Boyka telling the Liberian people, what he's
I'm
telling them.
telling you honestly, I can ride a wheelbarrow to go to that night shift. I don't care. I'm telling you honestly, I can ride a wheelbarrow to go to that night shift. I don't care.
That is the voice of Mr. Boyka telling the Liberian people he can ride even wheelbarrow. My brother, it's over to you, Creighton. Let's hear from you. What do you make of all of these things that are happening in Liberia and with this kind of opulence lifestyle of an 80-year-old man? Let's hear from you, sir.
Well, thank you very much again, Mr. Sharif, and welcome again to all of the panelists, ones who are there joining us. Well, I sat back and listened to the folks, uh, the co-panelists, and you know, I would just describe Mr. Boakai's action since he ascended to the presidency as a deception, like Sando said. The old man is a deceptive old man. From the onset, it was in 2017, and I was listening to some of his campaign promises he was making, and then he shared a story with a gathering of people, right? Some of his supporters during the campaign. He said that he was looking for money. I think because he usually share this story of so that people can be in sympathy with him, talking about his mother was a handicap and all of that, and never had money and everything. So he said he wanted to go to school, and then he had to sell a goat. And then when he took this goat, because the goat was very lame, it was not very healthy and thing. So he decided to sell the goat, but he said that he was not going to make a lot of money from the goat because the goat was not healthy, not looking healthy, not fat or so. So what he did was that what I would refer to in his deception again, he said he fed the goat with salt. Baka saying it. If you go back to some of Baka's recording, you will listen to this story. He said he fed the goat with salt, and the goat swelled. The stomach got big in no time. So he took the goat and he carried the goat to the market, and he sold the goat. He sold the goat for more money than what he was going to receive if the goat was in a natural state. So that is just one example of how deceptive this old man is. Now, I always, when I was, let's say, attacking him or so, or saying things about him, I always stress on his deception, because we know the old man from way back 2017, I think. You know, none of you here might know that in 2014 or around that, Anthony Casali took me to Buakai. That time he was vice president in his office, one-on-one. He was doing the Ellen Justice administration. And then we were having a conversation. Anthony Casali was not there. We're having a conversation because Anthony Casali was like, that's why you see, I usually refer to him as my papi. That just today I'm saying this story and thing. That time I was in the leadership of CDC, District number 12, but he said he wanted to work through the youth or so, because he was having an ambition. So he was nursing his ambition for the presidency. So then he started to explain to me what are those things that he had done in government, all of that. And then showed me one old photo that he used to play, playing cassava or so when you're working with LMCs or whatnot. And in talking about agricultural project and all the kinds of things. I look at the old man and I knew that the old man lacked leadership, he lacked innovation, and all of the sectors he had worked in, there had been no achievement. There were, from that day, I drew the conclusion that Buakai cannot run Liberia. I cannot be a supporter of Buakai. I have sat with Buakai before, one-on-one, and discussed with him that time he was vice president. I'm just saying this to say that Buakai is not someone who is strange to me. I know Buakai too. I've had conversation with him. So I know him about his agenda also for Liberia. And I knew that it was nothing. So fast forward, Buakai deception again in purchasing a vehicle, which of course he folks told us that during the election that Buakai, considering his age, he was not going to be, so much involved into material things or all of that, because they said that our president then, was materialistic and all of that. He loved material things and everything. But today you are seeing, even our president then did not purchase a vehicle that cost that amount. That Buakai, the vehicle that Buakai is driving today in the midst of health crisis, no medication in the hospitals, no, go at JFK. I have my sources there. The vehicle that usually takes employees home, that vehicle is down. The vehicles are down, 2 vehicles. And guess what? The vehicles were not even purchased by the Joseph Boakai-led government. They were purchased by the previous government through the GSA. The George Manneh Weah-led government. Those vehicles were distributed over, I think, 40 or 50 of them, or distributed to ministries and agencies during the George Weah-led government. The vehicles now are down. So the people now are going to use commercial vehicles. They are not already making much. Some of them make below $100 and things, but they have to squeeze their little earnings to purchase to pay for transportation. But Buakai, in his insensitivity, is seated there and purchasing vehicle that costs $1 million. JFK does not have the city scheme at JFK is down today. I listened to Kevin Deming from Pram FM, he and his colleague, when they were talking about how one of his staff had a motorbike injury, which of course is the CT scan that is in at the imaging center, the diagnostic center that you have at JFK, which of course all of those facilities were constructed under the George Manneh Weah government. This JFK now had a CT scan. When George Weah government came to power, $150,000 United States dollars for that one equipment, I think, where it helped in the diagnostic, including the diagnostic capacity of the medical center. That identical equipment was approved by the board to be purchased and brought during the George Weah-led government. Now it is down today. But Joseph Boakai is not even thinking about that. You would think that because looking at his health condition and all of that, he was even invested in the health sector in order, to make it more vibrant, or from where, take it from the stage where his colleague left it, the previous government. But Buakai is not thinking about all of these things. Buakai is very much now focused on purchasing expensive vehicles, driving in luxury, and to satisfy himself. So, Mr. Sherry, all of what my fellow panelists have said about Barca, it just boiled down to one thing: deception. Barca lacks vision. He lacks any kind of, patriotism or so for the country. I
Thank
can
you.
boast of it that President George Manuel Weah, being a very patriotic, citizen of Liberia, that's why he even invested, resources in the health sector, in the educational sector. If you check the budgets and budget line items for now under this government, as compared to previous government, you will know these things. There is a clear distinction, Mr. Sherry. So,
Thank you.
I can say that, but yeah, Barca is not serious to govern Liberia, and he's just there because Liberian people, made a complete mistake to have him there.
Thank you so very kindly. We go to the letter from the ECOWAS. You know, this is the second or third time ECOWAS delegation has been in Liberia. Not for anything palatable, not for anything developmental, not for anything that will be able to project Liberia as a nation where other people can look at as a proud nation that is following the same democratic tenets that President Weah laid down. In fact, at one point in time, like we discussed here once, Liberia was considered as a nation that people must envy its democracy, especially under President Weah, where people rights were respected. He met with other political party, leaders. I remember when President Weah took over, met with political party leaders, had a meeting with them. And, we saw a government where people had respect for even the opposition, even though they were opposition, but that mutual respect was there. Those of us who have friends and colleagues in the opposition, we felt free, to associate with them. We laugh and stuff like that. But today, seeing ECOWAS coming to Liberia, and this is the communication that is sent. But I just want to read those areas that they urge the government to work on. And we're going to start from our brother Louis, and we'll go to our brother Boniface, and for us to hear. Let's go to the recommendations, and I'm just going to read the recommendations. And I want to ask you, what do you make of this? Is this a bad sound for Liberia? Is this something that is good? But I will just read the recommendation. It says, in this regard, the mission urges: 1, that President Joseph Numa Boyka and his predecessor work closely together to enhance peace, stability, and development in the country. That is their first, recommend. That's what they are recommending, what they're begging Joseph Numa Boyka to do. In other words, begging him to do. The second thing they said is that all stakeholders to respect the impending ruling of the Supreme Court. We got to know what Joseph Numa Boyka can do. The last time Supreme Court rule and tell you, say, the people then went to LTA lead and he said, okay, he bypassed the people he did. So for people to call us now and telling you, say, please, we're begging you. Everybody, you please respect the Supreme Court. We know who have been disrespecting the Supreme Court. Let's go to the third recommendation, or the third, thing that they urge Joseph Numa Boyka to do. They say that all stakeholders to develop a roadmap to promptly end the impasse in the leadership of the House of Representatives. And the last one, that international stakeholders to support ongoing effort to find lasting solution to the current political impasses in the country. This is very strong, this last one. In other words, ECOWAS said now, calling other people, say you are breaking you can't help. They play Joseph Numa Boyka, come and tell the control us down. But anyway, let's hear from our brother Louis. My brother Louis, you have your 2 minutes. This communication from ECOWAS, how is it? Let's hear from you, sir. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, I think in my mind, ECOWAS try to find solution to our problem. And if our lawmakers are going to act immature, this doesn't even work for our country. So, like I said, our lawmakers are still playing fun because they are eating free money at the Capitol building. Free money that in the Capitol building, don't respect the rule of law, but then they want citizens to respect the rule of law. They doesn't respect the rule of law, but they want all to respect the rule of law. How can this work? It's a shame and disgraceful part that ECOWAS come to this country 2 different occasions for one problem. When the ECOWAS came, they refused to listen to ECOWAS. Then they wrote a communication suspending some of the members of ECOWAS from Liberia. And the police said that they cannot honor their invitation or they cannot honor their nomination of the Senate. They got vexed with ECOWAS. They want to do this and do that. So at the end of the day, these guys don't know the rule of law. They can keep breaching our constitution. That's why they into the Supreme Court, they said, go back to the rule of law. And these guys still breaching the rule of law. So what precedent are they setting for the next generation to come? What precedent are they setting for those who want to be lawmakers? So you better understand that in the at the Capitol building is about ERE, don't EME. So I can say Liberian people, be patient. The court proceedings on the Supreme Court reserve the ruling. They wait for Supreme Court ruling, but trust me, Prince, even if the Supreme Court rule in favor for the Kofa, the majority black will not accept the Supreme Court ruling. The majority black will not accept the Supreme Court ruling. And Region Kun don't want to relinquish his position as speaker. And the government will support Region Kun. So this thing I'm saying here today, ECOWAS is hitting the head. Nothing will come out of it. Region Kun will be speaker for until 2026. Trust me, it happened any snow. We saw it here during my administration. And we'll see that happening on President Joseph Yuma Parker. Thank you.
Wow, this is scary. Thank you so very kindly. Let's go to our brother Boniface. Let's hear from you, sir. The ECOWAS delegation. This is very scary. For ECOWAS to be telling us that having one of the oldest presidents in Africa that get plenty of years of experience. What do you make of all of these things, especially the recommendation?
As a student of international diplomacy, there are few things my eye caught quickly into the 4 bullet point recommendation. And the first one I have to talk about all stakeholder respects the impending ruling of the Supreme Court. When the ECOWAS delegation went to Liberia, they met with all sides. They met with the 2 former presidents, Eli and Mane. They met with Fonati and his group. It was only Richie, the perpetual speaker, and his group that tried to misbehave. And what that signal says to me was the fact that they knew that there was a ruling, because having off on all sides, they knew automatically that there was a ruling. Wisdom determined that the ruling will go this way, because international laws are practiced everywhere. So you can't tell me ECOWAS not know the Liberia law. No, ECOWAS, that's why you see even in their deliberation when the letter was sent from our parliament to replace those nominees, it was vehemently rejected because those guys were relying on the law. That if you want to do this, this is the law, this is the law, this is the law. So you see that alone sends a clear signal. Then it talks about the last bullet point about international stakeholders to support the ongoing effort. Now, I heard the brothers just speaking and say, when the Supreme Court rules, the quote-unquote speaker, who we call the perpetual speaker, will not agree. The one who has been threatened by his wife. I agree, but the only disagreement there is to bring a comparison with the 2 former remove or the 2 former speakers removal is far different from this. In the case of Snow resigned. In the case of Tyler resigned. But in this case, the difference is Fonati is saying as stands by the rule of law. So until the number that is required, that is the 49 vote to make that is not obtained by them. As long as Fonati does not respect in his letter, that's why you see behind the scene, Joseph Boakai is playing the 2-sided game. He come publicly and like he know, then he go behind the oil and start begging Fonati. What am I saying? If they don't agree, for whatsoever ruling that we already know that was made clear, it's only to already now in pen and paper to say the thing will say on Wednesday, there's a final thing on pen and paper. Because everybody who listen to that different deliberation and argument knows exactly what the ruling will be. You don't need a lawyer to interpret what happened that day. You just need common sense. Law is reasoning. you know that the case is in favor of Funati. But yes, I can say that they will not agree. So what I will want to suggest and recommend, we need to effect citizen actions. That's what the preamble of our law says, that the power is inherent in the people. And that house is for the people, our house there. That's why every member you see in that building represent us. They are the people deputy. So if they refuse to accept the ruling, then I don't know what Liberians should do now. But if you ask me, I would say the best thing to do is to besiege that place. Like I heard Jim saying, CDC have not acted yet. All the things are going on. We just sitting watching. Probably their hands working under the scene. But CDC as an official position, we are not yet acted. Since in 1 year, few months of Joseph Boakai government. But I think this will be the first time that if CDC were not act as a biggest opposition political party, then someone will start asking ourselves what happened with us. Because at this point in time, 2018, CDC were at the defensive or United Party. What am I saying in church? ECHO has said dating must be settled by the rule of law. And what our law? Our law says to elect a speaker, you must have at least 37 members. To remove him, you must have 49. You have not read the threshold. So you can move Funati. Funati still remains, even in the eyes of the international body, as the sitting speaker. You can look at you take your security, you look at you take a car, you look at you take parking law, anything you want to do. So what I want to suggest, and I want to put on this particular platform tonight, is for Rachel Kuhn, who have domestic and extended pressure on his back because he got a wife issue hanging on him, and he got a speaker position right now hanging. But let me say this before I close. There's one way to solve the problem, and this is my suggestion. And I know our friends and our brothers from the UPN, some of them will even want to say Joseph Boakai could be a vast. It only takes President Joseph Newman Boakai to end the case. How does he end the case? When the Supreme Court rules, Boakai should be man enough to tell Rachel Kuhn through the police EPS, the same way they withdrew the security guard from beyond Kofa to reinstate beyond Rachel Kuhn and nobody. Rachel Kuhn are not entertaining. The men are bobo already. Listen to the man. How can you be in a clash with an opponent and you keep suspending? That's the most ironic part of it.
Thank you. Thank you so very kindly that, the executive will do the right thing. But unfortunately, the news that we are getting is not palatable. It seems as if Boakai is even ignoring it and even want to bypass. You noted for bypassing thing. Supreme Court say let the people go bad. It's what you do and not correct the LTA. He bypassed them. So according to information that we are receiving, he has called, some associate justices, at his house. But well, that is another discussion. But let's go to our brother. Eric, as we hear from you on this communication from ECOWAS. Let's hear from you, sir. And we'll go to our brother Frank, and we'll come down to our sister and Isaac. Yeah, let's hear from you. I'm sorry, you are muted, sir.
Sorry. Dr. Uman Aliyu Toure made it very clear. He was the head of that delegation, the ECOWAS delegation. When people recommend in a given situation, it means that they have identified problems or they have identified area that, you lack in certain things that are needed. Take, for example, they say, of the 4 recommendations, number 2 say all stakeholders should respect the impending ruling of the Supreme Court. That sends a message that they have identified the ruling of the Supreme Court has not been respected. Because if the opinion of the Supreme Court was respected, then Kuhn should not be a purported speaker by now. Then Kuhn should have not had the audacity to go to Capitol building and burst open the speaker office and vandalize and bust Yaka Korubaka in the name of his protecting his speaker space, because the Supreme Court opinion was Kun and his gang of whatever looters lack the constitutional power to do what they did. They never had quorum to do that. Why? Because the speaker did not preside. Honor our laws. If you want to remove the speaker, you must be able to go to plenary, submit your resolution, get the numbers required, which is 48 or 49, whatever that number is, and make your case. But you cannot have parallel structure and say that you are, a speaker. And for the first time in our country, Sharif, the Supreme Court Chief Justice requested for additional security, not only for her, but for all associate justices. This sends a message that the country is unsafe.
Wow.
The country is unsafe. And during the interaction at the court, the Chief Justice and one of the associate justices highlighted chaos in the country. And Councillor Sherman was trying to ignore it. And the Chief Justice said, no. When you wake up in the morning and see the Capitol building on fire, does that not support the argument that there is chaos in the land? When you wake up and see Rachel Kuhn, without using the court, bust open the speaker's office and loot at the place, doesn't that tell you that there's chaos in the land? If we are not careful, that Article 1 Boniface was talking about that says all power is inherent in the people will rise up. Luis was saying, nothing will happen, he will remain speaker once. In this instant, when the Supreme Court rules and say Rachel Kuhn is in violation, he's not a speaker, and the court recognizes the legitimacy of Fonati Kofa, the ordinary Liberians people will not sit by and watch Joseph Boakai to keep flattening the rules. There will be ceaseless protests in that country. And some of us, we put ourselves on record, we will support ceaseless protests because it is our constitutional right to assemble and petition our representatives in the interest of us. This is a national shame for our country. The ECOWAS will come to us and tell us, say, that Boakai and his predecessor should work together for the good of the country. That means there's a disconnect between Joe Boakai and his predecessor. When George Weah was president, even when he was even president-elect, he drove and went to Old Man Boakai's house, he and his wife. Why did he do so? Because he wanted to have that coordination between he and former, statesmen. He maintained that relationship with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. He invited Joe Boakai at the executive mansion during his first year. He organized an opposition gathering where he solicited the opinions of opposition leaders so that they all can help to move the country forward. Those are things that the president did to cement the peace of our country. Now ECOWAS is telling us that there is a void. Since Joe Boakai became president, he has not taken the cell phone to call former President Weah. Not once. Not once. That man considered the result even before the official announcement on 17,000 votes. Out of here, 17,000 votes difference of presidential candidate, that court business we're talking. I would not concede. There could be a human error along the way. We'll go contest it in court. But President Weah, being a man of peace, wanting the best for the country, yes, that's the video. He went to the old man's house, accepted results even before the official result. And today, Boakai is urinating on our laws. And ECOWAS is telling us here we have to wipe his urine of our laws. This is disgraceful. And if they don't respect the opinion of the court, then Boakai does not have interest in his legacy. Because clearly we can see that his legacy will be trashed away. And history will absolve him to be a president who has an appetite for the wrongs. And which is very, very, very sad, my brother. Which is very sad.
Thank you. Thank you so much, my brother Eric. Let's go to let's just play this video, fellow Liberians, and then we will get our next panelist.
Thanks for the
Here's
visit,
the video.
Madam.
when President Weah visited Joseph Newman Boyka and even took gift to him and say, all of us are winner into this. So let's just listen.
Yes, thank you so much.
Glad to walk by my neighbor to say hello and happy new year. It's a special day